I've been a member of this subreddit for a long while now. I've been an active member, constantly giving support or advice to other people who have been going through a lot. I never expected I'd be on the other end of things one day, but here I am with a fresh throwaway account because I have friends who know my main account, and I don't have any solid proof yet. I desperately need some advice because the wrong move could ruin my life forever. I, 31 male, and my very pregnant wife, let's call her Vanessa, 30 female, have been married for 4 years. We're both pretty successful in our respective careers, so it didn't take long for us to decide to settle down and start trying for children. The first sign of trouble came about a year after we started trying. I know making a baby sounds like a lot of fun, and it is for the first couple of months, but after that it turns into a chore. There's a lot more timing and calculation involved than passion, and the repeated disappointments every month start to pile up. I know they usually hit harder on the woman, so I wasn't surprised when she started changing. She got more irritable and started picking arguments over nothing. Sometimes she would get silent and wouldn't talk to me. Then other days, she was back to normal, like nothing had ever happened. I couldn't predict her mood. The thing is, our difficulty having a child was hard on me too. I've always really wanted to be a dad. Of course, I had to be strong for Vanessa. She was taking it a lot harder than I was. It was hard for me to deal with the disappointment and her mood swings, but I did my best. Then about 7 months ago, we finally got lucky. From the moment she got that positive test result, her attitude changed. She was back to normal. More than that, she was bubbly all the time. She didn't even complain about the morning sickness. She was just glad to finally be pregnant. I knew how hard we had tried to have a child, so I basically waited on her every need while she was pregnant. I went with her to every doctor's appointment. I made sure she took her vitamins and got her exercise, even when she didn't want to. I massaged her back and her feet when they were sore. My main concern was always her and the baby's health and comfort. I'd never met the baby, but I already loved him more than I thought possible. I talked to the baby through her stomach and felt him kick. I swear I was already developing a bond with a baby I hadn't even seen yet. It's an odd feeling you can't fully understand until you're expecting a child of your own. Things felt perfect for a while. We spent most of our time arguing over baby names and teasing each other over who the baby would look like. I was already looking forward to the rest of my life with a beautiful family, and everything fell apart because of one notification. She'd been having trouble falling asleep that night because of her back, so I offered her a massage. Soon she was fast asleep. I was getting ready to go to sleep myself when her phone vibrated. I glanced over at the screen, wondering who could be texting her at that time. It was Evan, a coworker of hers. The message just said, "I still miss you." That set off alarms in my head. Why would he miss her? They still worked together. She hadn't even taken maternity leave yet. As far as I knew, they'd seen each other just that day. I unlocked the phone and went through her messages. Apart from that one in line, there was nothing suspicious in there. It looked like a perfectly harmless conversation between two people who worked together. But something still felt off to me. Why would he just say he missed her out of nowhere? It took a while for the idea that she'd been deleting messages popped into my head. The notification didn't make sense on its own, but it would still fit as part of a longer chain of deleted messages, and the only reasonable explanation for all that would be that she was having an affair. If that was true, then they probably stopped around the same time she got pregnant, which is why he missed her, even though he saw her every day. And that led to an even worse conclusion. If I was right and she was really having an affair, then there was a really strong chance that the child she was carrying wasn't even mine. It was all a lot to take in. I still couldn't find anything useful on her phone, so I gave up on that and put it back beside her. I sat up for a couple of hours just staring at her, wondering if she was really cheating on me, or if I was just reading an innocent message the wrong way. I wanted to ask her, but I know that whatever answer she gives me won't fully convince me. No matter what, she's going to tell me she never had an affair, and I don't know if I'll be able to believe her. I tried to tell myself to ignore it and move on, but that hasn't been possible either. This was too big to overlook. There was a chance I'd spent the last few months growing attached to another man's child. I don't know what to do next. I know I need to get to the bottom of this, but I honestly don't know how. I don't think she's still sleeping with him, so catching her is out of the question, and if she's really deleting messages, then finding evidence might be impossible. Should I get a PI to look into them? Is there something an investigator can uncover, or should I just talk to her and try to get the truth out of her? Update 1. I didn't expect my post to get the attention it did. It's a good thing I used a throwaway because I'm sure my friends would have seen it. I read through every single comment, including the harsh ones. A lot of you told me to stop overthinking and go talk to her. Others told me to get proof first and protect myself. I already explained that it was nearly impossible to get proof because I'm pretty sure they aren't still sleeping together. I decided to be straightforward about it. I've always been a direct person, and just the idea of sneaking around for evidence didn't sit right with me. So I told her I needed to talk to her. She was curious and asked what was on my mind. I didn't bring up the affair right away. I decided to ease into it, watch her reactions, and adjust my approach on the fly. I turned on my phone's voice recorder and set it naturally on the couch beside me, trying not to draw attention to it. I wanted to record her response, in case I managed to get the truth out of her. Video would have been better, but that would have been harder to hide, and it would immediately have put her on the defensive. I started off with the truth, but I tried not to sound accusing. I wanted her to think I was just confused and needed something cleared up. I told her that I saw a notification from Evan on her phone. It said he missed her. I was just wondering what he meant by that, since the two of them worked together every day. Her response took me completely by surprise. She completely denied receiving a message like that. She said she barely talked to Evan outside of work, and that I was probably thinking of one of her friends. "Maybe you're thinking of Emma." I just stared at her. I should have expected her to lie about it. If she'd been deleting messages from Evan, then she would have deleted that one too. I was just surprised that the lie came so smoothly to her. She was so convincing that I almost doubted what I knew I saw, but I'd never heard of a friend named Emma. And I had proof that she was lying. I picked up my phone and opened the picture I'd taken of the message on hers. It was obviously her phone. The back of her head was even partly visible in the background. She went quiet for a while, trying to figure out her next move. It turned out to be playing the victim. "You went through my phone?" I didn't let her take control. She wanted to change the subject. I didn't deny it and asked if she admitted that he'd sent the message. She looked away for a moment, then confirmed that he'd sent the message. She didn't give me a chance to say anything. She said he just meant he missed her because she couldn't move around the office as much, so they didn't see each other as often as they used to. I didn't buy it. I said that was an odd message to send late in the evening. Then I asked why she lied about receiving it. Her excuse was that she knew I wouldn't take it well, and she'd just been trying not to hurt my feelings. She hadn't directly admitted to anything, but I was completely sure that she was having an affair with him now. I asked if there was anything else she wanted to tell me about Evan. She shook her head and said no. They were just coworkers. I was blowing things out of proportion because I was stressed and overthinking. I asked why she'd deleted the messages between them. Her eyes widened and she asked what I was talking about. She was trying to keep her voice calm, but I noticed one of her hands shaking. She was very nervous and starting to do a poor job of hiding it. She knew I was onto her. I decided to keep pressing harder. I could probably get her to slip up or crack. I told her that the conversation history didn't line up with the notification. The only way it made sense was if messages were missing. Before she could deny deleting anything, I asked her if the message Evan had sent about missing her was still on her phone. She didn't say anything for the moment. She took a few deep breaths. I felt a little guilty interrogating her like this while she was in this condition, but I needed to know the truth. If I was wrong, I'd make it up to her somehow, but I knew I wasn't wrong. She was looking more guilty by the second. She sighed and admitted that she'd deleted some messages. A tear fell from one of her eyes, but she wasn't sobbing just yet. She was still struggling to keep herself together. I almost felt like crying myself, not because I felt bad for her, but because I was certain that she'd been having an affair now. I would have put $1 million on it. I wasn't trying to find out the truth anymore. I needed to get her to confess. Her voice was shaky when she spoke. She admitted that she'd been deleting some messages from him. She claimed it was because he was getting too flirty, and she didn't want me to come all across them and get upset. She said she didn't encourage it, but she might not have done enough to shut it down, because the attention was nice. When I asked if it got physical, she said no, but she couldn't stop herself from crying. I sat waiting for her to get herself together. I didn't comfort her. We both knew she was lying. I asked her again, and she gave a small nod. It was so tiny that I wasn't even sure I saw it. I just said, "I didn't catch that." She looked up, but didn't meet my eyes, and said yes, with her voice shaking. It was loud enough for my phone to pick up. I didn't feel as devastated as I expected. I'd already had time to come to terms with the possibility of her affair, and over time, I was more and more sure that she was cheating on me. It wasn't a surprise to me anymore, just a really crappy confirmation. I pressed a bit further and found out I was right. They'd started sleeping together shortly before we got pregnant, while we were still trying for a baby, and stopped after she got pregnant. The timing was horrible. I told her I needed a paternity test. She stared at me and asked if I was serious. I almost laughed. I told her the timing lined up, and there was no way to be sure. She said she was certain the child was mine. According to her, women have a way of telling who the father is. I told her that wasn't how biology worked, and her feelings didn't mean anything after what she'd just admitted. She went from crying to angry now. She said I was using her mistake to punish her. She said she'd already chosen me and ended things with Evan, and that I was just being cruel by turning this into an issue. I told her I didn't believe a word she said. I knew she hadn't ended things with Evan. They were just taking a break while he waited for her to have the baby. They'd probably get right back to their affair once she was ready. She asked if I was just going to abandon them. I told her no. That's where the paternity test came in. If the baby was mine, then I would step up and be a father. We'd both raise the child together. And if he wasn't mine, then I would leave them both behind. But either way, our marriage was over. I wouldn't keep living with a woman who'd been sleeping with another man while we were actively trying for a baby. It was a disgusting betrayal that I could never forgive her for. She said if I insisted on a test, she'd never forgive me. She'd tell everyone that I was bullying a pregnant woman and trying to get out of being a father. I'd be the bad guy no matter what. I told her to do what she had to do. We didn't talk to each other the rest of the night. She went to the bedroom and closed the door. I could hear her crying through the door. I slept on the couch that night. The days after that have been unbearable. We barely speak to each other if it isn't about something practical. We only talk about food, doctor's appointments, and bills. We already feel like strangers living in the same house. She's still refusing the paternity test, and I'm going to be talking to a divorce lawyer tomorrow. I want to get started on a separation process and find out if we can get a court to order her to take the test. Update 2. I figured I'd owed you one last update since a lot of people were invested in my story. It's only fair that I give you guys closure after all the advice I got. I met with a divorce lawyer the next day, and he told me what most of you said in the comments. I should absolutely refuse to sign anything related to the baby until paternity was proven. He even suggested not going with her to the doctor's appointments anymore. I needed to establish early on that I was unsure about paternity. We started the separation process right away, and he filed a motion with the court to have a paternity test ordered after birth. I got a lot of advice on my last post about getting a prenatal paternity test done. Unfortunately, my lawyer told me the court couldn't order one to be done, and there was no way Vanessa would go through with it. So I was left wondering about the paternity of the child until he was born. I quickly became very unpopular with her friends and family. She told anyone who would listen that I was trying to get out of being a father. Most people took her side at first. Even when I explained her affair, people would tell me to overlook it because she was pregnant. They conveniently ignored the part where I wasn't even sure if it was my child. Her parents were furious with me. They said I'd taken a sacred vow when I asked her to be my wife, and that included covering each other's mistakes. According to her dad, having a fling when she was hormonal counted as just a mistake. Her dad and her brother even tried to threaten me once. They were sitting in her car on the street in front of our home, obviously waiting for me to come out. So I did. They came out of the car and practically stopped 2 inches away from me. It was obvious they were trying to intimidate me. It didn't work. Her dad was an old school type of guy who might have been tough back in his day, but now he was pushing 60 and obviously getting weaker. Her brother was a skinny 20-something, and I knew I could knock him out without a problem. They didn't scare me, but I didn't appreciate having them try to spook me into taking Vanessa back. I cut her dad off before he could go into some speech about honor protecting his family. I told him that this wasn't the 50s anymore, and they couldn't go around harassing anyone they liked. If they pulled this stunt again, I'd call the police and report them both for harassment. Her dad wanted to put up a strong front, but her brother was smart enough to know what a criminal record would do to his future. He pulled his dad by the arm and said, "I told you this was a stupid idea, it's not worth it." They didn't show up again after that, though they still called and texted angry messages. Eventually, Vanessa moved out to stay with her sister. All I said was, "Okay." I even helped her take her things to the car. I was happy to have her out of the house. The birth came a few weeks later. I wasn't in the delivery room. That decision caused another wave of anger from her side of the family. I'm sure nobody was as hurt by that choice as I was, though. I really wanted to be there. I'd been looking forward to that day from the moment I found out she was pregnant, but I couldn't be there knowing that she was probably having someone else's child. As soon as the doctor allowed it, the test was done. I didn't know what I wanted the test results to be. A part of me hoped it wasn't my child so I could make a clean break from her. Another small part of me hoped the baby was mine because I'd already imagined a future with him. When the results came in later, they confirmed what I'd already been preparing myself for. He wasn't mine. I didn't feel the relief I thought I would. I mean, it was there, but it was drowned out by this empty feeling. 4 years of marriage, years of trying, months of happiness had all gone down the drain. Vanessa just cried and repeated that it had to be false. Her family members couldn't meet each other's eyes. I didn't say anything. I didn't gloat or try to vindicate myself. The results had done that for me. I just walked out of the room and forwarded the results to my lawyer. The divorce went quickly after that. There wasn't much to fight over. She had a good job, so she didn't end up getting alimony, and I was completely off the hook for child support. She knew whose door to knock on if she was interested in getting that. Evan didn't step up the way she wanted him to. He was completely uninterested in being a dad. He basically just promised to pay the child support, and that was it. He transferred to a different branch a month after the divorce was finalized. Vanessa's family didn't bother me after the big reveal. I didn't even get a single text message from any of them. Even they were smart enough to realize it was wrong to make a man raise another man's child. Nobody offered me an apology, and I didn't expect one, but it was nice to be free from their hate campaign. I've moved out of the house now, and I'm starting over somewhere else. There are too many painful memories in that place. I can't look at the room we planned to use as a nursery without feeling a pain in my chest. It feels odd to mourn the loss of a child who's still alive, but was just never mine to begin with. It's a horrible feeling, and I hope you never have to go through it. Vanessa is a single mom now. She still has a good job and a family that feels obligated to help her, even if they don't quite like her at the moment. She and the baby won't end up homeless or on the street, but she's going to have a hard time finding a man who's ready to settle down and raise someone else's kid for her. For me, this whole situation changed how I look at family. I don't have the desire to become a father anymore. Maybe someday I'll get it back, but for now, I don't see the point. How can I have a child when I don't even know when I can trust his mother? That's just another thing Vanessa took from me that I can't forgive her for. I know a lot of men are in a similar situation. If I had to give you some advice, I'd say you're having your suspicions for a reason. Trust your gut and protect yourself. Don't let guilt trap you in a life that isn't yours. It's a cold world out there, and you deserve to know whether your kids are really yours. You're doing the one logical thing a person has to do when they've been betrayed and the timeline lines up. The fact she fought it so hard and tried to turn it into a moral issue tells you everything. If she was truly certain, she would have wanted to prove it and shut this down, not threaten you with a smear campaign. Also, the whole "women have a way of knowing who the father is" line is genuinely one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. That's not intuition. That's her trying to talk her way out of consequences using vibes and tears. Biology doesn't care about her feelings. Have you ever received a text message that made you question your entire relationship? Share it with us in the comments. And thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.